Have you listened to a bassoon recording recently and wondered, why don't I sound like that beautiful bassoonist on the recording? Well, in this video, I want to talk about 3 things that you can start doing today to start sounding better on the bassoon. If you're new here, my name is Dr. Natalie Law, and I'm a professional bassoonist and teacher, and I love to help people feel confident playing the bassoon. So if that's a topic of interest to you, make sure you're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up if the video is helpful for you, and let me know your thoughts or any questions down in the comment section. So let's get started with the very first thing that you can start today with improving your bassoon sound generally, and that is improving your reeds. Reed making is equally, if not more important than practicing. And there's a reason for that, because if you don't have good equipment to start with, if you don't have high functioning, consistent reeds, then you just have no chance of sounding good. And so that's why having such a good reed is so important, even if you're not making or really even adjusting your own reeds yet. And there's more to this than just having a good reed. This is kind of a threefold thing. So the first thing is make sure that you are purchasing high quality, handmade, professional bassoon reeds. A real bassoonist is making those reeds. Don't buy reeds off of Amazon, or a lot of times at your local music store, those type of reeds tend to be mass-produced reeds, unless the music store is purchasing from a local bassoonist maybe. Make sure those reeds are made by someone with a real name that tells you who they're made by. And I know that the price difference can be significant, sometimes twice as much compared to those cheaper reeds. But I promise you that if you purchase those lower quality reeds, you're going to end up spending more money in the long run, and you're going to get more frustrated because you're going to keep buying more reeds that just don't work for you. I will link down to my handmade reeds in the video description, and you can always leave an order note when you place the order on what you're looking for in a reed. Maybe you're looking for a reed that's more beginner friendly, more advanced friendly. Maybe you're looking for a reed that is friendlier in the low register or can play really soft, or something in particular, and I can do my best to try and accommodate that for you. In addition, if you order a batch of reeds from me and then you'd like something tweaked, you can say, Natalie, in the next order, can you do this, or this to the reed to make it easier to play? And I'll see what I can do. Generally avoid reeds that are marked as beginner or student quality reeds, because a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, beginner or student quality is a euphemism for a junk piece of cane. Whoever's making the reeds isn't going the extra mile to make sure that they're really fine-tuned and tweaked for whatever that piece of cane needs. And I know that a lot of you already are buying high quality reeds, but there's actually 2 more steps to this. The next step is, once you get those high quality reeds, is to make sure that you're breaking them in properly. Make sure that you're going through a full multi-day break-in process. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, I've made an entire video on how to properly break in your reed, and so that you're getting the most life out of it and you're getting the best possible sound out of it. The first couple days and weeks in a brand new reed's life is a time of drastic change, because the cane is adjusting to its environment, it's being played on, it's settling in, and you'll notice that how your reed feels when you first take it out of the box and play on it versus 3 weeks later after putting 20 hours of playtime on it is going to be drastically different. And there's a good process to go through that I lay out in that video. 9 times out of 10, reed complaints that I hear about from my students or from folks who order reeds from me, the primary issue is that the reed has not been broken in yet fully. So just make sure that you're breaking in your new reeds properly and being patient with that process, because it is a process. The third part to improving your reeds in this threefold process is to start learning how to make small basic adjustments on your reeds. Even if you're buying high quality reeds from a reputable reed maker, every piece of cane is different. Everybody's setup is different. Everybody's facial structure and tendencies are different. Everybody's wants and needs out of their reeds are different. And so having the ability to make small adjustments to fit your situation is really ideal for being able to get the best possible sound. And I realize that reed adjustments can be a really intimidating process, but that's why I've created some free resources here on YouTube to help you out. I have an entire reed making and adjusting playlist here on YouTube. I'll link it up above, including my entire process from start to finish of reeds so you can see what I do for my own reeds. And I have a number of videos troubleshooting specific issues in your reeds that you can use to adjust them. So you can go through those videos and try to find maybe a specific issue that you're having. A lot of times what needs to happen is that as you've played the reed in and broken it in, it tends to harden up. The cane tends to harden up a little bit and it gets a little resistant. And so essentially some cane needs to be removed from the reed. A lot of times, especially in my reed style, the cane needs to be removed in the back third of the channel after a few days or a week of playing it in, but it kind of depends. A lot can be done with just pliers and sandpaper, but the most ideal situation is if you have a reed knife and a plaque that supports the reed so that you can make adjustments to it. Probably the most efficient and quick way to figure out what you need to adjust in your reeds is just set up a 30-minute Zoom lesson with me. I'll link down in the video description where you can sign up for that. And we can go through your reeds, you can play test them for me, and I can suggest what I would do with each of them to get them working. My guess is that you probably have some reeds that you've ordered a while ago and they just never worked for you, so you set them aside and you don't know what to do with. This is a good time when you start adjusting reeds to bring those reeds back out and see if you can make just some small adjustments just to make them a little bit better. So I know I just threw a lot of information about reeds at you, but I genuinely believe that a lot of times the reed is getting in the way, and if you can A, have a good reed to begin with, B, break it in properly, and C, be able to make small adjustments on your reeds to make it work properly for you, that's just a game changer. Getting your reeds to work, having good equipment to start with is just a game changer. And the good news is that you can start working on those processes today. The next thing that you can instantly do to immediately improve your bassoon playing is improve your air support. And air might seem like a simple thing, but there's actually a lot of nuance going on there. And when I say the word air support, I'm not really talking about air volume, although sometimes we do need to just use more air. Sometimes I tell my students, you just need to blow more air through that instrument. There's 8 feet of tubing and it needs more air to be able to work properly. Sometimes that is the issue. Your air support really refers to your sort of core area of support, and it refers to your ability to control your airstream. Can you sustain a consistent stream of air over a long period of time without any sort of hitch or hiccup in the sound? Can you increase the speed of your air or decrease the speed of your air? Can you widen the aperture of your mouth ever so slightly without creating a hitch? And so having good air support allows you to do those things, which allows you to support the sound that you're playing on the bassoon. You know, the reed and the bassoon are just an amplifier. They're just a resonator of the sound, but the initiating thing, the generation of the sound really starts with the air. A problem that I see really consistently is that we tend to breathe really shallow, and I see the shoulders raise a lot when you take a breath. So if you're going, that's not very good because the breath is very shallow. It doesn't go very deep in your lungs, and it creates tension by raising your shoulders. The type of air that you need to play bassoon or any type of wind instrument is totally different than your everyday walking and talking air. It uses the full capacity of your lungs. And that's really what you need to learn is how to harness the full capacity of your lungs to get the best sound possible. And so a quick thing that you can do to make sure that you're breathing from the right place is take your hand, put it in front of your mouth, and then breathe in a who shape. I'll do it again. So if you do that, you should feel the air really go to the bottom of your lungs. And so it'll also encourage you to have your abs engaged, which helps to control that airstream. And that's where the air support comes from. So your abs should always be engaged when you're playing. And that should feel like a really nice, full, deep breath so that you're always playing from this very nice, centered, supported core. Another little exercise that you can do to make sure that you're using your air properly is to take just the reed and make sure it's fully soaked. And we're gonna make a single pitch on it. We're not gonna crow the reed, just a single pitch and use the same embouchure like you normally do. And we're gonna just try to play 4 quarter notes. And you don't have to match my pitch. It doesn't matter what pitch it is, but it should sound something like this. So there should be just 4 continuous quarter notes with no space in between the sound. Da, 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 da. A lot of folks, when you try to do this exercise, it'll sound like this. There will be a space in between the sound. Da, da, da. And what that means is that your air is stopping between each note, and you do not want that to happen. You want your air to always continuously be going, and then your tongue is just lightly interrupting that airstream. So it'll look like this. If this is the reed and this is your tongue, do, 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 do. That's all it is. Constant air, and then the tongue lightly interrupting by gently touching the reed. If touching the reed just threw up a bunch of red flags for you because maybe your tongue is not touching the reed, or you're not sure if you're touching the reed in the right place, I do have a video about tonguing or articulation. I'll link up above, and you can explore that topic too. That's another topic that can help you sound better and more advanced on the bassoon. The key component here is that your airstream is working for you. So between this little exercise and make sure that you're using the right type of air and doing that little exercise on the reed, if both those things are checking out for you, then you should be solid, at least in terms of the type of air and the amount of air that you're using. Okay, the third and final thing that you can change today to instantly become better on bassoon is to adjust your embouchure. And this is coming from the assumption that embouchure is a really typical thing that a lot of us struggle with. It could be possible that your embouchure is already in a good place, but I can tell you that I'd say 90% of my students that come in, even folks that have taken lessons before and played for a long time, we always try to find something to tweak about their embouchure. It's an easy thing to sort of mess up and get in the way of things. So if you're interested in like learning embouchure from the very beginning and my 3-step process to learning embouchure, I'm going to link a video up above that you can check out where I explain that more in detail. But the biggest thing that I talk about in that video, and if there's one thing you remember about embouchure, it is the whistle face. The very first thing you do is create a whistle face. So even if you can't whistle, just pretend. Okay, so what the whistle face does is it brings your corners in and forward like that, and that's more akin to the bassoon embouchure. That gets you about 95% there for the bassoon embouchure. The other stuff is important, but it's not quite as impactful as that. A lot of folks have a smiling embouchure, a very horizontal embouchure, which essentially, when the corners are kind of more pulled back like that, it forces you to squeeze from top to bottom on the bassoon instead of side to side. And if you think about it, the bassoon is a double reed instrument. Double reed meaning that there's 2 reeds, there's 2 pieces of cane vibrating against each other when you blow air through it. And so if you are squeezing top to bottom, you're essentially choking off that airstream and not allowing the vibration to move through the bassoon as easily. You're causing more fatigue to yourself because the muscles that you're using from top to bottom are not going to be as strong or have as much stamina as these muscles. And also, because you're sort of pinching off some of the vibrations, you're going to have to use a lot more force to get the air to go through, which is just going to fatigue you even more quickly. If you deal with embouchure fatigue, like you feel really worn out even after just like 10 minutes of playing, that could be a sign that you need to tweak something with your embouchure. But also the effect on your sound, if you're doing that sort of top to bottom or smile or horizontal embouchure, it makes you sound very pinched and very tight, and you don't have as much resonance in the sound, which essentially equates to more overtones in the sound, which is what we want. And you get that more with a more complex vibration, which is what the sides of your lips helps you accomplish. So keep that whistle face embouchure. And you can do a quick little exercise to make sure that you're using that whistle face. You can literally make a whistle face and just blow air and then put the bassoon in your mouth and don't change anything except maybe just squeeze just a hair, but don't change the shape. I tell some students to do this, and as soon as they get to the reed, they immediately go back to their normal embouchure. So try this. So that can really tell you Are you maintaining that whistle face embouchure, or do you think you're maintaining that whistle face embouchure, but it's reverting back? Even when you are first making changes to your embouchure, usually the first couple days and weeks, you just have to constantly remind yourself, oh wait, corners in, corners in, corners in, because as you get focused on other things, you forget about the embouchure. So that's a really common issue that gets in the way of folks getting a really nice, beautiful bassoon sound. I know I throw a lot of information at you in this video, and it might be hard to remember those things, especially when you're in the moment practicing, which is why I created a free resource for you that you can print off and put on your music stand, which is the Bassoon Basics Cheat Sheet, which is essentially just a PDF document. You can print it off that includes kind of bullet points, quick tips, quick start guide for all of the things I mentioned today and more. Things like articulation and reed care tips and assembly and disassembly and position and kind of the things that I feel like are the most common issues in bassoon playing. And it would also be really helpful if you're a beginner or returning player coming back to the bassoon from a long time off, so that you can just look at it when you're wondering, what did Natalie say about embouchure? What did Natalie say about air? Oh yeah, here it is. So there's a link down in the video description. You just enter your name and email, and I'll send you the PDF, and you can have it ready to go right there when you're in your practice session. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And again, let me know if there's any comments or questions down in the video description. See you next time.